Hey, it's Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it is Friday. It's August 22nd. This will be our chart lesson for today. Just a reminder that this will probably that I'm probably taking off for vacation next week. So if no chart lessons during the week next week, you know why. Um, Earlier part of the week, if I don't, if it's raining or if there's slow day or something, I may come in, check the market, and do a quick chart lesson. But most likely there won't be any lessons next week. So you'll understand why. I'll also have a vacation notice on my email. So if you would just hold any questions and emails till I get back. And the only reason I ask you to do that is because if you don't, I'll have 500 emails stacked up when I get back, and it's just so difficult to work through all that. But anyway, let's talk about what we saw. It's really played out almost like a trading range this week for the most part. I'd call this a trading range. Um, it I did see a possible two-tiered range working up here. We had the break, and we're working on a retest as we speak. So who's to say that's not correct? But if you just look at the range here, and this is more, it really looked like started out as a range, and we moved up and made an equal move, and we're kind of headed, still playing that range now. But you can't rule out the fact that the two-tiered channel is not correct either, because we did get the break and we are working on a retest. We haven't made a new high yet, but doesn't mean that we won't make one. We're really finding resistance right in here, so there's a possibility that we don't go any higher than that. So I did adjust this range a little bit earlier. I had it a little tighter than this, but as we got more price action, I've adjusted it slightly. But it's still a perfect, if you measure it, there's your first, pretty much your first leg. Earlier I had this right across here because we were getting so many touches. But as we got more price action, I think it fits better here. But, if you measure that, it's a perfect measured move to the upside. Actually, there's a ticker so higher there. But so you could play this either way, really. I don't have this trend line on here as well either, so let me put this one on here. You had a little trend that was working down here as well. You can see we got the break, the move to a new low, and then we reversed. So, but let's go over the trades. I'm going to make this pretty quick today because I'm ready to end my week and start my vacation. So, early we had the trend moving down. We had a break. Notice I don't see any break closes outside that. So this was the first move outside, and prices tried to make a new low and they couldn't. And that's when it really began to look more rangy. But then you get kind of a reversal here, headed to the upper side, and then it comes back down to the low. Looking at this again, this one probably should be green. I'm going to go ahead and make it green. Earlier I had my line a little bit higher, so it looked more like a breakout pullback short. Oops. And you see if you move that up to where I originally have it, it looks like a breakout pullback short. And it's a real bearish bar, and there's still room for here and here, and you figure we're going to test those lows eventually. We actually made a new low. So that's why I had that one marked in red. And I went back and forth over it, but depends on how you saw it. But later, as we got more price action, this is the way I saw it and adjusted it. So, and you'll be able to, when you have ranges like that, you'll get a new high or a lower low, or you'll get a higher low or a lower high, and you'll have to, just like right here, you may want to adjust this down now. And you can see that working across there. So you might even want to adjust that one down. For some reason my lines don't look parallel there, and they're not. And that's why they don't look parallel. So anyway, I hope that makes sense. But I'm always adjusting my lines and looking for the best fit and the measured moves and stuff like that. So, but anyway, we had the break. This was just a first entry short, right? Actually, there's a second entry short, but I really didn't like this one. You might have considered going short, but notice we had the little channel working up and we didn't have a retest attempt. But then we made 2 legs up, and we found that resistance there. So this was kind of a little congestion there. It breaks higher and turns down. So I was looking for it to come back down and try to make that retest. And if you use this channel, that was 2 tries to go higher. You can see those 2 little legs up there, and then it turned down. So that was the first trade I really felt comfortable entering short on. It was a quick, easy move, and any runners you could have ridden all the way down here. But then off this high, you get the first entry long, you pull back, you get a second. And notice it doesn't go but a tick or two, and then look at that big bearish bar. I like going short there, another short. And then, of course, it bounces down here. And again, at that point, I had this line a little bit higher here, and notice we come back, we test it once, we go higher, we pull back and test it again, and we're looking for a retest of the high anyway, and so I liked going long right there. And then you get a failed second, notice the new low, pull back, first entry, pull back, you get a failed second entry short there. And you might have thought about going short. I actually got a message from a guy who did go short right there, and but his looked a little different than mine. He had more of a bullish bar here, and it broke higher and turned and went out the other side, all in the same bar. But notice mine's a doji, and it goes 1 tick higher and it comes down. And if it would have went on out the other side, I would have liked maybe using limit order, but when it ended equal there, you just about can't enter there. It's too risky. Okay, had a little interruption there. I think we were talking about this long. Failed second entry long here. This is one of those where you might consider using, notice that's not a very good signal bar, but it is a trap. Notice the new low, first entry short, pull back, second entry short. So it's a trap, so it's probably going to go either way. And by this time, I think I actually was looking at the swing here and putting it up here, and it fit pretty well. So you might have noticed and you can see it kind of going on through there. And so, but I was actually playing it as a range and looking for a measured move up here. So that's how I played it. But you might have already had the 2-tiered upper range. Plus you got, the only thing that was a little bit iffy about this was notice this little channel working up. You got the break and attempt at a new high. We didn't get one, but you don't always get a new high. So it was really tempting to go short there. But again, because of the way it's set up on mine, I didn't like going short there. I thought it was better just to wait. And then when you got the failed second entry short, I liked going long there. Now, that reminds me, I'm going to skip over here and talk about this just because I don't want to forget about it. Sometimes I have a plan to talk about somebody. But somebody was playing this as a failed second entry long. They were, notice this move down, first entry, pull back, second entry. But that's 2 measured legs down. You had a break of the shorter term channel, a new low with another little trap down here. Notice that little failed, and then a higher high. That's what a reversal looks like. And even at that, it's not a failed second entry long. If you went long right there, you would have scalped out of that. So it's not even a fail. All this is a first entry short, because you're in a downtrend, so you're still counting off the low. So that's a first entry short. And if you wait on the second entry short, notice it doesn't come to way up here, and you're back above the EMA. You've made 2 swing highs now. There's not a very good setup, so you wouldn't have got trapped there. And just by sitting and waiting, you get the trap here, and you go along, and it's a quick, easy move. So I wanted to show that, with 2 measured legs down on a big move like that, you're not looking for a failed second entry long there. What you would be looking for was maybe a pullback and a failed second entry long, like a double trap this way, and then, counting from this side, not from way up here. By the time you get down here, this is a known down move, and you're working off the lows now. Forget about the highs. So except for your corrections. And another thing too that you would have seen if you drew your short-term trend line here, look at that. That's your first break. So you're going to push back to the high before you're going to get that next attempt to go lower, most likely. And so there's a lot of reasons that's not a failed second entry long. And even if it were, even if this only got a couple of ticks up and you were counting it as a failed second entry long from counting way up here, it's not the kind you want to take. That's not going to trap people to the short side, in other words, you're not going to trap a lot of people or fool a lot of people on that. The idea behind a trap is you fool people and they get fooled, and so more likely you're going to get fooled to the downside before you get fooled uh, to the upside right here, because you've had two measured legs down, you've had a break, a new low, you got a little bit of a short trap here, so they're probably going to run this back to the EMA. You're overdue to come back to the EMA, especially on a choppy range kind of day. It's going to come back and test the breakout area. Notice it did that here. It got through. It came back and tested it from the other side before it went higher. And so I hope that makes sense. But let's go back. Now you've got your break, a couple of legs up to a new high. You've got a measured move on your range, the whole bit. And so you got this moving down. You get the close outside, move to a new low. There's a second entry long. Notice that new high, first entry, pull back, second entry. And that is counting off this high. That's your first leg down, pull back. And so you probably fooled a lot of shorts there who were thinking you may come all the way down here, or that just don't understand what's going on. And so it reverses here. These are the ones that are hard to take, but it went out the bottom first, then turned around and went straight out the other side. As soon as it broke out, drop a limit order in there, and you could have gotten filled at the high and even a tick or two back in this thing, and then it just keeps on working higher. And then you get a double top up here, right where you're expecting to get, at the top of the range. And so then it's working down. And so I like this one for a short off that double top. You're usually better, and this is like the second entry off that high. First entry down, pull back on the bigger picture. There's your second entry. Instead of risking this first one, wait on it to test it again. And it was close enough to the high on the possible double tier that it's probably going to turn down as well. You get a first entry long there that fails, but I think this is too close to this line right here now, and it bounced there again. So I don't like going short right there. There is a little double top, but I thought you were better off to wait and play it and see if you would get a breakout pullback short, and that's what that looked like. And again, at that point, I had moved this up, or it was still playing this up here. I didn't move it down until we continued to go lower. So it looks like a breakout pullback short. I originally had it as red, but looking at it after the fact, the fact that we didn't break higher and get that little trout, but you can see that, they started working it higher and it turned out it closes right on its low. If you didn't use a stop, you didn't get filled on that one. And even if you use a stop, you may not have got filled on it. You just about had to let it go and put a limit order and see if it'd come back and get you. And depending on how your chart was, it may or may not have filled you. Then we already talked about this. You got your new low. You've got your reasons to reverse now, and you get a failed second entry short here, but it was right into that kind of previous resistance area that had a lot of resistance across there. It's two inside bars. They can't break higher or lower. So I didn't like going long there. Plus, if you drew your line here, you were right there at that line, and if you drag it down, it's time to come back. So I thought it was better just to kind of wait and see if you couldn't get a better entry, and of course you did. It comes down here, and now even count from here, you've got two failures down, and it turns up. So I liked that one. Again, I liked using the limit order here, and I know you would have gotten filled on one because I was sitting there watching it. Then you get a pullback, and you get like a little double trap here. But this one's still kind of, because it's so close to here, and this was where the middle resistance was. So I wasn't comfortable going long above that big bar because it's too risky, too big a stop. So if you took this trade, you had to let it break higher and drop a limit order. So you could have got filled all the way back to the bottom of that right there. Uh, but when it turned down again and fails and turns back up, now you got a second entry long and you got all these little pushes in the trap. And plus you're looking for a new high anyway. And this thing just, it took it a second to get going, but it rocketed on and turned out to be a really good trade. This trade and this trade were the two best trades of the day. Um, so they're the only ones you really got a lot of movement. Now, if you took this one, you would have got a lot of movement on it, but I think it's really risky looking back at it from after the fact. But while I was watching it live, I did really like that trade. So, and it was a pretty good move, but it's not the best setup. There's some better setups than that, and a lot of times, your traps, you can see that was a really good move there, and this one was a pretty good move here. So once you get those people trapped, and just so make sure you understand that if you're new at this, you shouldn't be that worried about traps yet. You need to be worried about just understanding what second entries are and how to find your targets and how to take the basic entries. Once you understand those pretty well, then traps make a whole lot more sense. But what people don't sometimes understand is that just because prices tick lower or do something that looks like a trap, it doesn't mean it's a trap. A trap is simply a location where a large number of traders get fooled. Even good traders often get fooled there. So, so when it reverses, because they got so many people fooled, they all have to exit. And that's kind of like right here. They tricked people into going short here, and then they reverse it. Then it makes a higher low and goes higher. And that's why this rockets up the first time, is because the real schemish ones get out early. The others give it another shot and say, got to wait and see it make another higher swing before I'm gonna exit. So when it turns down and fails and turns back up right here, they all start exiting, so it rockets up again. And so that's how you know if a trap was a good trap, like right here. Notice how nothing much is happening, all of a sudden it rockets off. They trapped people to the short side there. And that's why it rocketed off. And they have to exit. And so a lot of people got trapped there, and that's how you know if it was a good trap. Evidently they trapped a lot of people to the long side here, because look how this rocketed on down. That was a really good move. And so on some charts, it might have been a first entry pullback, second entry long. And, people were looking at this channel. So a lot of people probably bought here thinking they were going to buy the low of the channel on low risk, and they had to exit. And you can see that right there. Same thing right here when this rocketed up real fast. And you pretty much can tell that right here. When this went higher, people probably thought it was going to continue higher. And when it turned down here, you see they're hanging on at first, but then when it goes even lower, it just rockets on down. And that's because they got to start exiting. So I hope that's clear on the traps and makes more sense to you. Just because you see a little tick here or a tick there, think about it. Ask yourself, what usually happens is you don't see the trap because you're too busy thinking of, you're actually getting trapped, and so you're thinking just along with the herd, so to speak. So you miss what's going on. And right here was a trap. It went higher and it trapped people, and look at that, rocketed down real fast. What happens is people are thinking about getting long there, and most of them are wrong, and it goes lower because they don't understand what's going on. And so I've shared a few emails from this guy lately. He's been sending me a lot of stuff. He's really been having success. And he sent me another one today. Just real quick note says, Mack, when you see what's happening, it becomes so predictable, as you said, amazing feeling. And he sent me 2 or 3 notes like that lately about his success. And then he sent me one here, says, took the trap, target, top of channel. So I don't know what he meant by that, but I believe when I got that, it was one of these. I think it was this trade right here. He took that long right there, I do believe, um, because that's about when that came in, right about that time, and this was just setting up. So I think that's the trade he saw and took the trap. So good job. You know who you are. Then he sent me another one. He actually sent me a chart here and said, feel free to share it with everybody else. Let's just open it and look at it. He says, here's my chart today. I didn't trade from the start of the session. If I did, I could have made way more. Feel free to share it so everyone can learn. Regards. And yeah, he took that short right there. Maybe that was the trap he was talking about then. And he went short there and bought. Then he went long down here. I'm guessing that's what he did. He went long. Entry 2. Target he exited right here. I'm not sure what he did there. Target, then he went long here. Got stopped out of that one. I don't know why. Oh, he waited too late to enter. He should have entered right here. So yeah, I can see the mistake there. Make this a little bigger. Yeah, he made an entry mistake. Your entry here was above this bar, and notice you didn't enter till up here, and so you didn't have room and had to wait on it to back up. And that's what will happen to you. So you can't enter even one tick late on these things. I had that conversation with another gentleman this morning. He actually entered here on this entry right here, which was a little bit of a trap, but he didn't enter above this bar right here. You waited and entered above this bar, and you're too late right there. Even though it worked, you're too late, and you could have gotten stuck just like he did right here by being too late. But notice if you enter where you're supposed to, you're almost out before it even really makes its good move. So your timing is so critical. So keep that in mind. And then he saw the little trap here. He bought. He reached his target, and then it looks like his runners he exited here. So very good. He had a loser in here, but notice how congested that looks on his chart too. That's another reason to stay out of that. That's a real good reason to stay out of it. But there is a little bit of a, we tried to go lower twice there. We did come off the high side of the range. We weren't back to the low side. That's another reason. So there's some reasons to stay out of that one. What does he say here? Yeah, made a mistake there. Didn't see the channel playing out. Once I saw the channel, I went long. If I did see that channel, I would have been up plus 5 points. End of the day, plus 3. Still pretty good trading. I can see your mistake. It looks like you chased that one. You saw it going without you. It looked real bullish. You tried to chase it, and that's what happens to you when you chase them. So good learning lesson there. But he's seeing this thing really, really well. Some good trading. He's seeing the channels. He's seeing the short-term channels, really. He's seeing the support and resistance. He's got a few more lines on there than I like to see on your support and resistance. But maybe it's clear to him what he's doing there. I don't quite know what he's thinking there on those. I'm guessing that those are just important lows, and maybe he's just marking them so that he knows where the targets are and things like that. Nothing wrong with that, as long as it doesn't confuse you. I like for my chart to be a little cleaner, and I kind of clean mine up as I go along if something's no longer in play, and then I just put it back at the end of the day. It's a little easier that way. So, but good trading there. Let me see if there's anything else. Oh, there's one other thing I wanted to share that another trader shared with me. And I've done it this way. We talked about how we enter on the trades, and what he suggested that he learned from somebody else was, let's say you want to go short here, and so you're waiting on it to go lower. He suggests going ahead and just clicking and putting a sell stop way down here, and then when you're just as you're ready, drag it up and drop it in. And you can do it that way. I've actually tried that, but to me it's just much easier just to put my order right here, one tick below where I want to enter, and right click and then enter my sell stop. But if it works for you that way, my thoughts on this is whatever you feel the most comfortable doing, that's the way you need to trade. Because if you're comfortable and relaxed when you're trading, you're going to be more successful. If you're uncomfortable and not real relaxed, you're going to have more issues. So whatever you feel the most comfortable doing, do it that way. But that's just a suggestion. Let's say you want to go long here. Um, Go ahead. Prices would be like this. Let's say you decide you want to, let's say you're wide in here and you're thinking, hey, if this thing reverses and goes up, well, go ahead and come way up here, way away from the price action, and drop in your buy stop order. And then just kind of wait, and you're waiting, and you're waiting, and then, hey, you got a bullish bar there. Look at all those stems. It's tried to test those lows 3 times. If it breaks above here, it's probably going to trap people. So now grab your order, drag it down, and drop it, and then you see it on the next bar. Boom, you got filled, and you're out of that one in just a blink. Didn't take long at all. And so if you feel comfortable doing it that way, doing it that way. One other thing I wanted to show you that another trader suggested he's been doing that's really helped him is, let's say it's at the end of the day, and this is what you're looking at, and you want to go back and study all these trades. What he said he does, let's say he wants to study that trade, he will go back. He actually changes something on the chart where it doesn't show everything out there, but it's just as, to me, it's just as easy to slide your chart over to right there, and then just study what the setup looks like, and then maybe do it one bar at a time. And that way he sees what it looks like at the far right side of the chart rather than knowing all this stuff after the fact. So hopefully that makes sense. So if you're studying this trade, you move back over to here and you just kind of work it over a bar at a time, and you study what it looks like. So hopefully that makes sense. And if you want to try that, give it a try. I think that's a great idea. And I've actually done some of that myself. I'd go back and just move it to the right and look at it. So that could be helpful to some of you as well. But I'm going to wrap it up. Again, just a reminder, I'm going to take vacation next week, the last week before school starts. I'm going to take it off, spend it with my kids, get a break before we go into the fall of the year and get back into the thick of things with trading. The market should. Normally in the fall, as the market picks up again, so hopefully we'll have some of that as school's starting back here. But I'm going to take this next week off. So I will be back the following week, and who knows, I may pop in during the middle of the week. If I do, you'll get your notice, or you'll get, you might check YouTube just in case if you want to see if there's a chart lesson, because I may pop in, but I'm planning on being off and not doing anything next week. But I'm going to wrap it up. This is Matt with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you a week from now.